Hey, it's Bob Melbanian and Matt Hartnett from Shockwave Skull Sessions and Aftershocks. If you'd like to receive access to exclusive episodes from your favorite show and would even like to be a part of it, we've got an offer that you simply can't refuse.
CMSPN now offers our listeners the chance to not only view and listen to exclusive episodes, but to actually participate in one as well. Go to our Subscribe Star page at www.subscribestar.com/CMSPN. Our page has 3 monthly subscription tiers for you to choose from, and is a great way to personally connect to your favorite CMSPN show.
Our content will always be free of charge, but if you're looking to have a closer connection to your favorite show, subscribestar.com/CMSPN is the way to go. As always, thanks for listening, and enough of us talking. Here's the episode you actually came here for.
Here we go. All right, we're back here with another episode of Aftershocks and AFTERSHOCKS.TV.com on the CMS network. And let's welcome our guest today. He's been a staple of the German metal scene for 40 years now, and you all know him from his time with German metal legends Accept, as well as power metal heavyweights Victory. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Herman Frank. What's going on, Herman? Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thanks for inviting me, guys, and I'm fine, and hope everybody out there is fine too. Hello, just say hello.
All right, yes, we're doing good. Yeah, thanks again for coming. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about your soon-to-be released 5th solo record called Two for a Lie. You've got 3 singles you put out so far, and the first thing that always jumps out to me when I listen to your music is always your guitar tone that you were able to get onto your records, man. It always has such a live feel to the tone. Like you're listening to it live. It's right in your face. It's got such that big crunch. And that's hard to do, to transform that onto a recording, that kind of a sound. So I guess we'll start off, talk a bit about the new record that's coming out soon and how you're able to get that sound, that tone from your guitar onto your records each time you put a new record out.
Question. I never thought about it. I'm just doing it. Maybe it's because the most guitars you hear on the record, or my records, are the demo guitars. I lay them down as a demo. Okay. And often I try to, when Rick sings over it and the bass is recorded and drums, sometimes I got the feeling, I have to do a couple of them again. They might be not that perfectly. And then I go back to my little studio and try to replace them, and it sounds like, wow. Energies, mostly energy is left, and this kind of spirit thing in there, this freshness, when I've composed, and these are the guitars that you hear, then these are the guitars when I come up with the song, when I'm writing the song. So brand new, and let's put it this way, 90% out of these guitars, they had been the demo guitars. Oh, wow, and I'm always looking, and also in the production, I'm looking for this roughness and this just count 1, 2, 3, 4, and hopefully the band stops at the same time. Yeah. That's the most important thing. Sure. And some people, they so overproduce and use tools here and there, just to make it more tight and whatever. I mean, music lives out of untightness. Yeah, I guess. I mean, a couple of different vibes in there, and it become just a little bit movement in the rhythm or in the drums or on the hi-hat. That makes that gives you the feeling of kind of like live thing. And the most people are looking when they record albums. Oh, we want to sound like we sound on stage when we do this live thing. Yeah, well done. Just play.
Just play, right? Just be yourself. Huh?
Yeah, and don't use copy and paste that much.
Yeah, totally. No, I understand. So once again, on the new record, you've got Rick on vocals, who I think is such an underrated vocalist. I think he's a great vocalist. You still got Mully on bass. They both played on Fight the Fear, your last record, and And between the two, between Fight the Fear and what I hear on the new tracks, it's got the similar sort of drive and pace. So you could tell the three of you really make such a good combo, and that core is still there. You also now do have two new additions to the band as well. So with Mike and Kevin. So why don't you go ahead and talk about them and how they came on board for this record?
As you said, I mean, the good thing is that the core is still in the band, and Müli, he gives right the drive to this whole music. I mean, there's no other chance for Kevin, for a new drummer, just to follow this. Yeah. Normally, it's a bass player is supposed to follow the drums, but in this case, you just have to follow Müli. Yeah. He's driving such a. He's playing such a good bass, and normally in recording, I finish my guitars first to computer drums. Okay. And then I move them over in the studio, in the system, and then the drummer shows up, so he has to follow me, which makes it very easy and comfortable for me. And if he says, "Oh, then you might be a little bit out of time," I say, "No way, you just follow my guitars." and I'm always thinking about to be a hint in front of the groove, just a hint that gives this rawness and this energy. And so Müli knows how which way I want to hear the bass, so he's just following my guitars. And for as I said, for Kevin, he's a talented guy, really. I must tell. And it was easy for him. It was an honor that I called him up, so he joined for this record. And the same I can say for Mike Pessin. He actually is a friend of mine. He's living next to my house in Hanover. So it's a very comfortable situation. He can show up in my house. We practice guitar. It's easy for him to show up in my little studio, so we can discuss. You are playing this part, I'm playing this part, and it's perfectly situation right now.
Yeah, no, it shows on the record because I mean the songs are great, the sound's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and speaking of the sound, I mean you just mentioned before. You've been producing now too. I mean, not only have you been writing and recording music, you've been producing records for years, including your own. And like I said, they always sound very professional, top-notch sounding. When it comes to producing, what is the most important thing that you look for or focus on more than anything else when it comes to recording a record?
I think producing is not that. There's no big secret behind it. Okay. You just have to love music, and you just have to like what you're doing, and maybe always look for the best results. Everybody tries to. A little secret is maybe you have to, let's say, force the members to give their best, and maybe just a little bit more than their best, and then you have to push button in the right moment, and leave things on tape or on the computer in the system when you had the feeling this was the right moment, and that's it. I'm always looking for sound these days. I choose Arne Neurand. He's the owner of the studio I went to. It's a horror studio. It has a big history behind it. There was Halloween, there was whatever, any scorpions in the early days and stuff like that. So I went back to the studio. It's also next to my neighborhood in my hometown. Okay. And actually I worked a couple of years in the studio as an engineer and a producer. So I do know the studio well and the technique. And with Arne, I do have a guy I really can trust on. He's one of the guys who's able to say, "Oh, Herman, you should play this guitar again. It's not in the style of what you're normally doing. Shorter verse. Just do it again. It was just crap." But hey, and I believe to this guy, because that's much easier if you have somebody sitting there face to face or in the same room. You can trust them. I mean, as a producer, you have the final decision anyway, and everybody puts everything on your shoulders. If it's a good record, oh, you're a good producer. If the record is not that good and sounds like whatever, I don't want to say the word. I don't
say shit. It's okay. We can go.
Okay. If it sounds like shit, it was producers for.
Okay.
But I'm quite honestly, I wish I would have a producer like Andy Sneap.
Sure.
But I wrote him an email, but he wrote back, "Oh, thanks, Herman. I felt very honored. For my let me tell you my time schedule. So I might have time for your record in 2 years."
Wow.
And by the way, there's the number of my bank account. So easy like that. And so it's maybe a matter of fact of budget too that I'm doing the production by myself.
Well, for whatever it's worth, it doesn't sound really like you need anybody because you're capturing a fat, full sound. It's I mean, it's not like you don't know what you're doing and you need to bring somebody in. In your case, I don't think you do.
I mean, I mixed a couple of albums in my lifetime, but for my own records, as I said, I'm working with this engineer and co-producer Arne Neuron, because he's just a hint better than me. So as a producer, is maybe the point is that you bring people together.
Okay.
You have to come up with a good team.
Sure. Is the hardest part about producing your own record? Is it producing the record as a whole, or is it producing your own guitars because you have the hardest time hearing your own mistakes or whatnot?
I never do mistakes. I can tell you a true story. Nearly on every record, and also on this one, there was a song I did on the third album, and then when I listened back to the single takes, because I had to practice it for live shows, then all of a sudden I noticed it's in the key of D. And there was this huge ending of, I guess, of this chorus, and everybody was playing a D bass. Tons of guitars playing D. Two of them, they played F sharp, and I didn't hear it, and I didn't notice until I listened to the single track. So it might be the bad job is if you have to produce your own guitars, your own instrument. That's horrible.
No,
I mean, nobody tells you, oh, that you're bending out of tune, or this chord is out of tune, or this is a little sharp. You are maybe a little bit ahead of the beat, or you're too laid back, or you always have to judge by yourself, and that might maybe, if you really go into it, a never-ending story. That's the reason why I always come back to my demo guitars and say, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, it's definitely working. Well,
yeah.
Herman, I did want to ask you too about Rick. I know Matt touched on it a little bit about that you've been working with him for a while. I'd imagine at this point you've developed more than just a musician thing. You've gotten quite comfortable working as a team now. What is it that he brings that works so well with you and for you?
He brings in the final melodies. That's the main point. So, as I know Rick now for a couple of years, for the demos, I always send out nearly the whole written song, including vocal lines, or the hooks of the choruses. And then Rick jumps in and says, yeah, that's nice to listen to. But hey, let me do a couple of things, and let me try a couple of things out. So he comes, as he's a much better singer than I am, right. He comes up with some nice melodies, and he also got really taste for this hook lines and stuff like that. So in the end, he's a main factor in this composing in the end. And for sure, then for the lyrics too, I give a couple of stories or ideas for a story, or a couple of words in the chorus, which might work. But I leave up the lyrics to Rick because he has to sing them powerful. And if I write him some words he even couldn't spell, how should he bring them out of his voice with his voice in a powerful and melodic way? Mm-hmm. So you have to leave up a couple of things to other people.
Sure.
And you have to involve them. As I said, that's the job of a producer to create a good team.
Sure. Yeah.
And Rick exactly knows now what I'm looking for in a song or what I'm expecting him. And sometimes we're getting in a real we argue in a really certain way. Because I said, no, I really want this way. you just have to try harder.
Right.
Remember, I'm from Germany. You just from Sweden. Stuff like that, you know. I mean, still in a friendly way. Then he argues. Then he argues back. You know nothing about singing. I'm the singer. It's the same procedure like in other bands too. Sure. There are two egos and two very talented guys, and you just have to find the middle and. But I'm still fighting for the best result.
Sure. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, and just, you know, going off of that, I mean, a great example of that obviously is when you were in Accept, you know, you obviously, mentioned that you left. That was one of the reasons why you kind of left, was because you weren't being allowed to showcase your talents and what you could really do. And now you've proven it, obviously, with all these records you put out since you left, whether it's your solo stuff or with, the Panzer record.
Yeah.
But I mean, so is it frustrating knowing that, say, for instance, with Accept, I mean, you had to almost sort of leave the band in order to showcase what you can do, and now you've done that. And is it sort of disappointing knowing, like, if say Wolf just would have been a little bit more open to allow you to present your ideas into these songs? I mean, I could just imagine what these Accept records would have sounded like if only you were allowed to come in with what you've been showing now on your solo records. I mean,
they're always a little bit truth in everything. I mean, yeah, I was missing to put out my creativity, or let's just put it this way, a little bit more get a chance to show off what I can do.
Sure, yeah.
But on the other hand, it's Wolf's band. I mean, what can you expect? I mean, and he's quite honestly, he's still able to write a couple of good songs.
Right? Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So maybe there was no need. Mm-hmm. Why? It's hard to tell, you know. I mean, there was Peter, the writing music. Wolf had been writing the music. I mean, they come up with very, very good records, and I'm still proud to have been a part of it. Whoever will know, nobody could know, would it have been better if I would have written some songs? Maybe. I would say yes. I don't know. Hey, but that's just in the past, you know. It's sure. Done. This chapter. This book is closed, more or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's on the one side, it's a shame. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
Yeah. No.
But on the other side, it gave me, it forced me, or gave me the chance to do my own thing, you know, and to do this what I'm doing now in a really comfortable way.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and it's a good point, because I mean, the fact that you guys, when you came back, the band came back, except that you put out those 3 ridiculously great albums. I mean, that obviously then was able to help you feed your solo career, because I think a lot of the younger metal fans too, that really maybe didn't know Accept too well from the 80s, from your time there, now hear these newer records and they're like, wow, this band's fantastic. And of course, I'm sure a lot of them now still follow you to this day, which has allowed you to have that solo career.
Yeah, I mean, when the reunion happened, I quite honestly, I expected a little bit more open-minded. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's wrong to give some guy a chance to show his talent? Would have helped. But hey, it's gone.
Sure, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
It's history.
Yeah, it's history, exactly. And you know, you're a guy who's been in obviously, you know, several bands over the years. I mean, a lot of musicians prefer to do that also, right? They prefer to go out, spread their wings a little bit. They don't want to just be tied into one band or project. How important is that for you personally, you know, as a guitarist throughout your career to have been able to go to different, you know, bands and projects instead of just staying in one lane, you know, with one band?
Actually, I would have loved to stay in one lane.
Okay.
Yeah. If I really think about it, I would have liked to. But on the other hand, you always start like a new partnership, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So something when I will go out fine or work fine, and some will not. And sometimes it's better to stop a partnership because it's difficult. It's always about these egos.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
Yeah, it's the same in every profession, you know.
True.
If you work in a company and so many, there are a couple of talented guys, they just want to reach for the top. It's always about the egos.
Sure. Now, Herman, you know, following your career, your musical style has been pretty locked in, you know, pretty much for your whole career. You make straightforward driving metal, period. You know, I'm curious what somebody that's been in it for a while now, what do you think of the direction that metal has gone with all these different subgenres and subgenres and whatnot? You know, I mean, it's crazy how different it is from when you first hit the scene.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes I compare it to fashion.
Okay.
Yeah. People come up with new ideas, and everybody tries to create a new style. Some of them are successful, some of them are not. But if you look for the billing for the festivals, the most bands they play after 6 p.m. They're mostly the classical bands.
Mm-hmm.
They with the classical style, you know. And I've never been thinking about changing my style in any direction because of this is up today, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for me. I just love to doing this kind of music, and I couldn't think about any other music. For producer, yes, or engineer, I produce big bands and pop records and stuff like that, or instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
But if I strap on my guitar, I just play the same thing
Sure.
like I did 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
No
Maybe
question.
I'm stick to this.
No question. Well, Herman,
And I really try hard that there's some different notes coming out, but always the same. It sounds always the same.
well, that's a good problem
It's a
for
good
you.
thing,
man.
yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Herman, you know, you like everybody else on the planet, just waiting for the okay to get out there, I'm assuming. So what does it look like to be able to get out and play shows for Two for a Lie? Is that something that you think is going to happen? Is it something you're hopeful for? What does it look like at this point?
At this time, I don't see any chance for maybe in the end of the year. That might be the earliest point. And the tour the European tour for HF is planned in May 22.
Okay.
That's a serious thing. I mean, anything else you promise to fans, it's not serious. It's
right.
not. I don't think it will happen.
Okay.
And it's kind of like obvious that we all have to wait to get vaccinated. You know, otherwise it won't work.
Right.
You can't risk to do shows with 800 to 1,000 people and 100 go back to their home sick. You know, that's not worth it. So everybody has to just calm down a little bit and keep patient.
Right.
I think there are bigger problems in the world right now than the live shows.
Sure.
We're complaining on a high level.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think even next summer, you know, a year from now, do you think that they're going to be willing to let the Sweden Rocks and the Vakens and whatnot with those giant crowds get together?
I hope so. Because I've been scheduled from year to year, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
They always, I get every month a report from my agency. You're scheduled on next year. You're scheduled. This show is scheduled on next year. Okay. I hope so. I mean, it depends on the situation of vaccination. Yeah, that's a tough word for German guys. I would like to say in German, es hängt alles davon ab, wie wir geimpft werden.
There you go.
Okay, nice.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
It depends. If I would know if next year would they might allow to do the festivals, I would be maybe one of the richest guy on the world.
There you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
right, yeah.
No doubt.
Everybody would ring me up.
Certainly.
Try to call me up. Oh, are we allowed to do a show next year? Mr. Frank, please tell us.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what, Herman, even if they can't come out and see a show this year, they should still certainly get this new release. It is fantastic. It's called Two for a Lie. And if you're a metalhead, there's no way you cannot fully dig this release. Yeah. So Herman, why don't you tell people where they should go to pick this one up and keep up with you?
I couldn't have said any better words than you did, but people, as everybody knows, May 21st, the record will come out, and I'm really excited to get my copy and just listen to it. And as I said, don't listen to it via cell phone. Sit down in front of a real stereo system. You might listen to it and you might enjoy it.
Do those even exist anymore, real stereo systems?
Yes, I do have one.
You do? Nice.
I do have one, and I have the best one in my car.
Nice. Very important.
Oh, yeah. All right, Herman. Well, once again, Herman Frank, the new album, Two for a Lie, out May 21st. And Herman, thanks so much for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Herman.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys taking your time. It was quite nice. I enjoyed the interview.
Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.
All right, everybody, another great interview right here on AFTERSHOCKS TV. And before we go, just want to remind you one more time, make sure you get over and subscribe to the CMS Podcast Network, CMSPN.com. You can watch, you can listen, you can subscribe to everything that we do, not only us, but the classic metal shows, Shockwave Skull Sessions, Talk to Me. It's all there, one site, get 4 great shows, never have to do anything again but be entertained. So check it out, CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com, CMSPN.com. Until next time, folks.